The 31st day of August 2022. You're very welcome back to this channel. I want to welcome I think I got about 4 subscribers. I'm now on 802 subscribers. You're very welcome to the channel. I do my best. I'm caught for time. There's not enough hours in the day. I have to prioritize what I put on here. It's beautiful weather. We never had a month of August like we've had in Ireland. I was in South Dakota for my American viewers in 1999, and it's just almost exactly as it was in the Black Hills of South Dakota in 1999 here. It's the very same, but you can find a little chill coming in at night. It's absolutely beautiful, and there's rain in Ireland. Not enough, but there is a good deal. We're very lucky in every way. We really are a blessed country here in Ireland. Folks, I'm going to answer this question on the smart meters. Not going to expect you to read all these, except for they're just a prompt, really. I've got a good few questions, and one is from Catwoman, one of my subscribers, and I presume that's a woman. I don't know. Catwoman must be. Doesn't matter anyway. But the thing about it is that she originally was saying that I was deleting her comments. That would be a disaster for me to do that. It would be a total denial of the whole purpose of this, which is to communicate honestly with my subscribers. But now she now accepts I didn't. I don't exactly know what she was saying, and there's a bit of fun on the channel. A lot of people give me a little bit of a funny remark, and I absolutely love that. Keep that up and everything like that. Now the question here was put to me on the one on smart meters, because that's coming down the road at us. Why I oppose them so much, more or less like the way we opposed the water charges in Ireland. And despite what people say, I believe had they got doing what they wanted to with the water charges, our water would now be controlled by an American conglomerate, a big company, some big company like BlackRock or something like that, and our water would be floated on the Irish Stock Exchange. I believe that was what's down the road. We have the most corrupt batch of political parties, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin, and all the left-wingers that could possibly be imagined. Now, so that was well done by the people there, and I'm now trying to get the same momentum going and get the same debate going. Now, the first thing to remember is why I'm against the meters. We had a perfect grid. We had a perfect generating and customer-based system for decades with the ESB, the Electricity Supply Board, who did all. We never had blackouts. We had very little. There was only one real problem: was unions had a lot of power there, and they would occasionally cause blackouts looking for more money. But we had a perfect grid, and it was based on coal, oil, gas, peat, and it was fine-tuned. Now, I have reservations about the use of peat other than on an emergency basis. That peat is a soakage for water. Nature made Ireland the way it is, and I believe we interrupted at our peril. I would allow people to cut turf for themselves and to sell a little bit of it to neighbours and friends, but I wouldn't like to see the bogs that's left completely depleted. So you see, I'm an environmentalist, but I'm a genuine environmentalist. Those peat bogs at one time had grouse on them, imagine, and there was heather and all that, and they bulldozed all out of it. So I don't think it was necessary to go as far as they did, and I think that some curtailment might have been needed there. But in any event, we had coal, oil, gas, plentiful, right? Plentiful. We now are facing all this crisis, you don't need me to tell it to you, where we have no storage of gas at all in Ireland. No storage of gas at all. Imagine that. We don't even have the full of a tar barrel of gas stored. That shows you what our government is. Now, at that time, there was a contract between the producer and the customer, and it worked out all right. The next thing, nothing to do with the EU and them all, only deregulation. Oh, deregulate. Bring in heaps of companies. Now they're all pulling out. There was no need for any more than 3 or 4 companies in the market. Now the old system needed some tweaking. It needed some maintenance, and it needed proper engineering practice. Not shutting down. We have a situation now where there's a war going on between EirGrid, the system operator, ESB is the system owner, EirGrid is the system operator, and we had a situation now where the regulator is saying what I told him 12 years ago in person, and what I've said on these videos earlier, that when you run wind energy in big amounts, you destroy the traditional generators, because they're not able to cope with the rapid up and down, ramping up and down that occurs by the gusting nature of wind. And that's what the regulator says in Ireland, the Commission for CRU, Commissioner for Regulation of Commissioner of Regulation of Utilities. It is. He's now come out and admitted that I was right. He doesn't mention me, of course, but EirGrid is, oh no, you're wrong. They're killing other now. When it's looking like that. Barry Cowan, the Fianna Fáil TD, who's not a minister, he was put out over something, but he has asked for accountability. And slowly but surely, it looks like accountability is coming down the train, and these rats will jump the sinking ship. Now, when the deregulation happened, all the cowboys got in on the act. Oh, I'm not going to pack shelves in Lidl's. I'm not going to work as a lawyer or an accountant and do boring books. I'm going to be a big energy person. Ew. I'm going to get my picture in the paper. Ew. And they all wanted in on this. But of course, there was only so much they could do with the traditional grid. So what they did was they got into this green baloney. The Green Outsiders, run by Bilderberg Group and World Economic Forum, and people we never voted for, and the EU whom we never voted for. And they lied. They lied. How did they lie? Well, I'll tell you how they lied. If this were the Isle of Man, and you covered the whole island in solar panels, and you put wind turbines around the coast, and you put all of the wind turbines that are in Ireland round the sea around it, in huge big wind turbines. Number one, you'd have no power on a calm night. Number two, you cannot use that renewable energy unless you have a fossil fuel base load there of about 40%. And if you look on the news there and things like that, the independent news, you'll see that there is a problem with base load power. They're beginning to discover, these damned idiots, that what I'm saying is right. In Germany, they're scrambling looking for gas and all this with the war. Well, the thing is, they're beginning to realise that if they don't have fossil fuel to run the base load plant, you can't use your renewables at all. You might as well have statues of Mickey Mouse instead of them. Okay? That's the situation, folks. But they don't want to admit it because they lied. They told lies. That basic fact is a fact. If it wasn't a fact, I would not get away with it. Just think of it. If that were the Isle of Man, if that situation existed in the Isle of Man, you could not use your renewable energy unless you had 40% of demand base load run on coal, oil or gas. And that is coming home to haunt them. That is the simple fact, right? What they're saying is, well, when you get the fossil fuel burning, shove in your wind energy and it'll save a bit. I would question what it saves over a year. Might save a bit on a particular evening, but over a year, I say it saves very little. Now, we had 6,500 megawatts of traditional generating with a little bit down in the rivers, a little bit of hydro. Demand was usually at the winter peak on the 7th of January, the Friday closest to the 7th of January each year. Demand was usually 5,000 megawatts, and it used to go down to 2 on a summer's night. 2 megawatts to 5,000 on a summer's night. Look what they've done. In order to get their dream, their fairy dust, they added 2,000 megawatts of gas-fired fast-acting plant. They're now trying to add 2,000 megawatts of diesel or fast-acting open cycle gas turbine, which is not very efficient. That is not going in, this bit here, because they can't be supplied. Ryan and his other idiots up there left it to the last minute. They thought they'd nothing to do when he ring up, hello, send us over a few of them. The whole world is short of generating plant, and they have to wait and wait and wait. But this is what they would have if they could get it. They added 4,000 megawatts of wind, which we already have. The maximum it ever gives out is 3650. That's all right. Wind at no plant gives us full capacity. There are other things to be taken into consideration. I'm not arguing with that. Now, they want to add an unknown amount of wind. We'll say it's 3,000 megawatts with big offshore winds and all that. That's a total of 15,700. 15,700. And they want to add, I'm shouting, I don't give two damns. People like it, that's their problem. I'll shout more when it really comes to the crunch. They want to add about 2,000 solar. Big old John Bruton, the breed of Cromwell. It has the best of land up there in Ashburn, growing wheat. And they're planting it with solar farms. Dirty, rotten Chinese junk. That'd bring it up to 17,500. It's not only him, it's many more. That'll bring it up to 17,500 megawatts of generating capacity. Right? When we only need, at best, 7,000. Okay, except a little extra might be needed from 6.5. We only need 7,000. There's the ideal grid. 7,000. This is what they have. And they all have their nose and the snout and the trot demanding money. And the bill has gone mad. Now, in order to try and consume this, they thought to put in data centres. They thought to build data centres. And they did build them. And they're mad building more for outside companies like Amazon. And places to put pictures of American dogs and cats. And my lovely daughter, Caroline, she's getting married today. It's so great. And she as my granny used to say, it won't be long till he's kicking her arse. That's what my granny used to say. These old screwballs. All stuck on our grid, increasing our emissions and competing with the farmers' cattle, who are doing something good. I have letters here to get rid of my cattle. These old nanny staters, the late Peter Sutherland, and these old idiots, right? They're the ones that thought up all this. And now the proverbial something has hit the fan. They think I let them away with it. They're making one hell of a mistake. We'll put them down and we'll keep them down. And we'll make them pay. And Barry Cowan is the first to suggest there'll have to be an inquiry and there'll have to be accountability for Eamon Ryan and all these other screwballs. I was over in Mayo, a fella talking about building a pump storage facility in Mayo, and Pat Rabbitte, the minister, clapping him. A bloody harebrained scheme. Harebrained nut scheme. Yet that was getting the thing. I stood up and said no. I stood up in the Chester Beatty Library. I asked them why wouldn't they assess it with engineers. They didn't listen either. And I tackled Ryan. And when he went out one door, I went out to block him, and he turned to go out another, and I ran round, and I was there as well. No mercy for these tramps. No mercy. Now, they want the smart meter because they know now they're going to have a situation where on a good windy evening and a bit of sun, there'll be a surplus of energy. Don't forget now what I say there, folks, is it 17,500. What are they going to do? They can't turn off the fossil fuel power because they need 40% of the grid, or maybe a little more, maybe 37 or 38. But remember, the energy regulator has already admitted that when you let the amount of renewables go high and the amount of balancing fossil fuel power go low, and I said 30% is the 40% is the minimum. If they got their way, they'd have it down to 30. You immediately damage the rotors and the whole equipment in the plants, in the boilers, in the steam generating plants, switching it on and off, and you immediately damage the very, very fine-tuned and very close tolerance turbines that produce all this electricity. That's a dispute between the Irish regulator and EirGrid, the system operator. Who are they? I fought them above in the High Court for 2 days. And their answer to my challenge that to assess this under the law was, we're going to do twice as much. And the judge agreed. Now, the thing is, that's what we're dealing with. That's why I am against the smart meters. I'm against every part of this. Now, the thing about it is, the smart meters are there to monitor our lives, to know exactly what our profile is. to then tell us we can pay for our electricity at times that suit them. When there is more wind and solar, they'll tell you go and wash the dishes. They'll tell you do that. And eventually they'll try and have it that you'll have an automatic system that your equipment will come on and off as they want. I know a person has an electric car and they would like to do the washing and things like that at night, and they can't because the car is drawing the whole power. They also want these electric cars running that, so how are they going to charge them if they don't deprive you of electricity at some time? Most people will be out in the daytime. So they'll build up a profile of you and tell you when you can charge your electric car, when you can wash your clothes, and when you can cook. That's what they're trying to bring about. The big problem for that is people will buy bottled gas. The next thing they're going to try and attack is bottled gas, because you can cook with bottled gas. You can do quite a good few things with bottled gas. So that's a wee way of looking at it in that. So now, they want to control and monitor our lives because they made a hames of the whole thing. They made a dog's dinner of the whole thing. They refused, REFUSED, to comply with Article 2 to 4 of the SCA Directive 2001-42 EC, the SCA Directive, which was brought in under the Aarhus Convention and under the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union and under the Lisbon Treaty. We were guaranteed this. I voted for it, believing them. And they lied. They lied. They brought in the regulations for the wind energy guidelines for noise and all that in defiance of this. They never did it. The European Court of Justice has already ruled that they never did it in Belgium or Holland. So they lied on that part of it. They lied on the whole thing. There was no engineering input. There was no public consultation, and there was no right to take a judicial review to question their findings. The result is they got it wrong. For all we know, it could be some young lassie with a pencil skirt, with a lovely thin skirt on her and a lovely outfit, and she could have made up these whole regulations and could have drafted the whole Renewable Energy Action Plan and the whole lot. We haven't a monkey's notion. We haven't a dog's opinion or anything else. Who done it? Who drew up these guidelines? Who in EirGrid drew them up? Were they ever challenged? Never. There was no engineering input. Imagine designing an aeroplane without engineers. Would you fly in it? Would you go in a ship that was designed by Eamon Ryan and these other muggos and all George Soros and these other idiots? Data centres. This is what they wanted. Proud, stupid stuff. There's a lady in Athlone, she has it on Facebook that she got a bill for 9,800. She's poppy fields. For some kind of a coffee shop. But the prices in England are said to go up, I think it's 80%. So all of the energy programme is unlawful. It's the breach of the contract the European Union made with me. The European Court of Justice, correctly, anytime they were asked, has said it's illegal. And that has happened in case 2419. But it's very difficult to get that done. It's very expensive. To challenge that could come up to 80,000 euros. To challenge a part of it, 40,000 euros up front. Who's supposed to do this? It's supposed to be the Irish government supposed to comply with the law. The European Commission moved in on the case of Derrybrine wind farm and ordered it be shut down. And it's supposed to be shut down. And fined Ireland. Why don't they move in on it all? Why don't they move in and say you must have your National Renewable Energy Action Plan assessed fully under the directive? And why don't they move in and say you must have all the guidelines and all? I have them here beside me, 520 metres. Who decided that? Well, it was done by the wind industry prompting the government, oh, you do it this way. I went to a meeting a long time ago over the West, and Andy Kenny was then the Taoiseach, and do you think I could get talking to him? No. They got round him, and they formed a ring of steel round him. But it didn't matter. I met them. I met Eamon O'Keefe, I met Damien English, I met Pat Robert. I met them all. I told them all this was going to happen, and now it has happened. So my position, folks, I'm sure you can see it. Shove your smart meters. You're not putting them on me. I take them out with a sledge if I have to. That's the way it'll be. We're not having it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look in my next video and see can we generate our own electricity and let them hump off. Let them go to hell. Right? If I am angry, it's because I am angry. It will not affect me. I can manage. I have 2 generators already bought. What about the older people? And where people are complaining, I'm turning to them on the social media. Did you vote for this? If you voted for it, it's what you deserve. That's the answer. That answers the queries. Why am I against smart meters? And I hope to continue this debate more. Folks, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We're not giving in. Our people never give in. My people go back generations. Irish people, they never give in. And I'm not giving in. And as they said in the film, what was that Clint Eastwood film? The Outlaw Josie Wales, he was George was the actor's name. He was the Indian chief, and he said, "I never surrendered, but they took my horse and they made him surrender." He says he's pulling a cart up in Kansas. Anyway, folks, thumbs up, thumbs down. See them off. The wheels are coming off the wagon all over Europe and the world, and the quicker the better. Bye. We'll see you back.